what's your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple. Oh, my room as a child was purple, so that's perfect. What's the first thing you did this morning?
The first thing I did is watch the story on my Bible app.
Oh, all right, very good. What's the last book you read?
The last book, it's more like a manual for continued education for OT, and it's about dementia.
Okay, you're a smart one, huh?
Maybe.
All right. And like, what's your favorite song on the radio right now?
Favorite song is "The Powerful Name He Is." It's a Christian song.
Okay. And do you have like a guilty pleasure?
Chocolate and wine.
Ooh, that's a good combo. That's a good combo.
I couldn't just say one.
Yeah. Now let's see. What's like your most important self-care tip?
Exfoliation. I feel like that's important for face and body.
Okay, amazing. All right, well, welcome to Pandemic Parenting. I'm here with Jenna Hughes, and she is an occupational therapist. So Jenna, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your background and occupational therapy.
Okay, so I studied occupational therapy and received my master's in Australia, and I worked there for a year, and then I got it transferred over here in US, and then I worked in Colorado, and now here in California. And I had the honors to speak at the Australian OT conference in Melbourne, and it was improving the communication and goal setting amongst the therapists and the parents, which is a very important part of occupational therapy. And I have been working in the field for 8 years, and during the pandemic, as you know, jobs could be scarce or went on to telehealth, and I'm about the in-person application intervention, and it inspired me to open up my own businesses working with seniors and children and filling in the gaps.
Amazing. You know, I'm really excited to be talking with you today because I really love interviewing people that just like really are like go-getters. They're out there to make a big change in the world, and I know you're trying to do the same, so that's amazing. I'm just curious, like, I know myself at least that I'm not like totally familiar what occupational therapy even is, and I think maybe some of my viewers also may not even know. So do you think you could explain a little bit exactly what you do as an occupational therapist and why you're so passionate about it?
Most definitely. This is a very big question that everyone has, and in pediatrics, it overlaps with other therapies like speech and physical therapy. So in pediatrics, it's mainly helping the child reach their milestones and reach peer functional level. So for example, in the settings that we do and work with, it's at home is mainly early intervention from age 0 to 3. And we work on crawling and walking, drinking from a cup, using the spoon. At school, it may look like handwriting and using scissors, having attention, being able to sit in the chair, the age appropriate to be able to reach the curriculum and peer function, like I mentioned. And then the outpatient clinics are focusing more into hygienic goals and self-care, like dressing, brushing teeth, feeding therapy. And more specifically, some of the children that I work with have autism, Down syndrome, maybe a neurological condition, cerebral palsy. We could also work with adaptive equipment like wheelchair access at school, or being able to use the wheelchair at home. Maybe a ramp needs to be installed. So it's a very wide scope, and it's definitely family centered and customized to the individual.
That's amazing. Yeah, I really had no idea. It's kind of like a bunch of things that I would take for granted on a day-to-day basis, just like brushing my teeth or being able to write with my hands or use my hands. But, you know, I guess I didn't realize that there's so many people out there that need assistance with that. So that's amazing that you're out there doing your thing and helping people.
Most definitely. And you'll find that at the school system with IEP meetings, they do have that wide range of therapy and support, which is a very good tool to have, because I know growing up, I didn't really know what OT and all the therapists were all about. So I think that has evolved as time has gone on, and it's being implemented in schools, which is great.
Awesome. Yeah, so like, have you always wanted to be an occupational therapist, or was that something that came later on? Was there something that like inspired you to go into that field?
So I love OT because it's so diverse, it's innovative, and it's holistic. And originally, I was going for physical therapy because that's what I was exposed to as an athlete and getting therapy on my knee. And I always wanted to be in the healthcare system, and my grandmother was a nurse. But when I saw blood and needles, I just want to pass out and get nauseous. So I thought, what is another way I can do in working into the health field? And physical therapy reached full capacity in Australia at the school I was at. So I was asking students around, like, what's applicable to PT that is relevant and my courses could transfer over. So I discovered OT indirectly, but as I was doing my field work, working with seniors, children, the community, I absolutely fell in love. So it was definitely a blessing in disguise that the route took me there indirectly of discovering it. But once I did, I am all about it.
That's incredible. And now you get to help people every day.
Yes, and when I want to jump back to holistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
So, with children, it's not just working with a child. In OT, we really look at the family dynamic. Like, who is in that child's life and what does the environment look like? Is it an apartment? Is it a house? Are they, living with many people in the family? What are the resources that we're working with? And sometimes we have to get creative in the interventions and strategies on, what is accessible, what do you have at your home, and let's work with that. It's not necessarily, does insurance cover, do they have all the tools, do you have to pay for everything under the sun?
Mm-hmm.
It's working with what you have.
That's a great point that you bring up, because I wanted to ask, as you know, this is pandemic parenting, and we're going through the pandemic right now, and a lot of parents out there are facing challenges. They're facing financial stress or being stuck at home, and there's that, like, they're afraid to go outside maybe. And so I was just wondering if you have any exercises or tips or anything for parents to do with their kids while they're at home.
That's a really good question. So I will also be showing you some tools later on when we shift over, but some websites that are really good. Your Therapy Source. You could go onto YouTube and look at occupational therapists, and they demonstrate like hand therapy, handwriting, Play-Doh, fine motor skills. That's going to help essentially in the schools because that's their main occupation. That's what a child does. That's what we work on. So we always want to bring it back to, like I mentioned, peer support in that school, even though it might not be school setting. We want them to be able to go through that curriculum successfully when they transition back. So the biggest tip I would say right now is looking at Your Therapy Source, OT Toolbox, looking up YouTube for great demonstrations and videos. I'll send you a handout. You could attach it, let people know directly what sites to look at. And the biggest barrier I see, and from families reporting, is social isolation and the whole transition. The whole transition when we are interacting, engaging with other friends and family, or maybe some people have gone back to school. So how do we act in good manners, in social behavioral manners that are acceptable in those different settings? How do we celebrate again with these fun ideas and birthdays and Halloween's coming up and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there's a lot of social contact where we want to hug and hold hands and give a kiss, and there's different greetings and cultures. And I think we're all at this place where what's allowed, what's not. There's the social distancing, there's the COVID guidelines. So the biggest thing that you could set up in your own home is to create that safe place to have the social practice of having a sit-down meal, and it's as easy as that. You can be a part of the whole preparation and cooking, like maybe as a family you're building your own pizza, or you're baking Halloween cookies, or you're carving out a pumpkin. So I'm going to give you some examples and show you those demonstrations, but verbally that's what I can give you a little sneak peek about.
All right. I love a little sneak peek. And I think that's amazing because, we were chatting a little before we came on camera, and you were mentioning to me that you were working with, some of your patients, especially the younger ones. And, you took off your mask and they were kind of shocked. They were surprised because like for the last year and a half, couple years now, that's all they've experienced. They haven't seen smiles or, you know, a mouth, and it can be really challenging for especially younger people trying to reintegrate into this society.
Most definitely. And there has been 1-year-olds asking mom, like, where's my mask? Like, pointing, put it on me. Or they've only seen me with the mask on. So when I take the mask off to drink water, they're about to cry and they're like, put it back on. And I'm having to explain, like, it is okay. Like, this is a smile. This is what, you know, joy looks like and happiness, because you can't see those emotions. And and I have an 8-month-old niece, and she's a very happy, loving, smiley baby, but she does stare and she's looking at, what is this mask? Why do you have it on? Do you have it off? Like, she's trying to identify. I'm like, I am your aunt. And with the mask on, she can't tell. So that's a very big challenge. And what I would recommend is having a photo album of friends and family, being able to show those family and friends, and putting a name to the face if they're babies or toddlers, and being able to see with and without the mask.
Okay, great. So parents should just have like a photo album ready to go and just kind of be like, hey, this is what people look like without a mask on.
Yes, or FaceTiming or any of those social apps that allow you to video call. I think it's so important. You know, we might not all feel comfortable being on camera and video calling or doing those Zoom meets and parties, those virtual parties.
Of course.
But for a child, it's very important to show expression, to show emotion, what sad looks like, what happiness, what mad and angry looks like. And if we have a mask on, we can't really see those emotions.
Yeah, I know. I have a 3-year-old nephew, and I love FaceTiming with him because, yeah, he's just like so full of joy. But then he gets to see my face, and I get to play with him a little bit and like be like, "Oh, you made me sad," or "Oh, you made me happy," and then like see how he plays back with me. So I love that idea of just, you know, really just engaging kids and letting them see your face, letting them see your emotions, and just being vulnerable with them.
Most definitely.
All right. Well, I know we got some stuff you want to show us up there. With like little exercises and household items we can use. So maybe we can go check it out. What do you think?
Most definitely. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, Jenna, so now we're here. We got all sorts of like fun toys and little household items, and I know you're very excited to explain what each of these does, and I'm excited to learn. So why don't you just tell us, what are all these for?
All right, so this segment is just all about what you could get around your house, and keep it as simple as that. I am demonstrating a couple toys to show this skill. So OT is all about the skill that you're doing, not so much, oh, I'm playing with the toy. So with this skill, you are stacking, but you're also looking at different sizes and different colors. So around the house, what is this?
Looks like a paper towel holder.
It is. And so everyone is using toilet paper. We are on a shortage of that. So you can collect the cardboard, and what can you do with it, you think?
I guess I could stack it just like that.
Most definitely. So that mimics the stacking toy. So if you want different sizes, different shapes, items around the home, you could just find something that stacks.
Yeah, that's great if, you know, parents don't want to run out and buy a new toy at Target or Walmart or something. They can just do whatever with the toilet paper rolls at home.
Most definitely. But if you are looking for something, this is Balance Monkey, and working on fine motor pincer crafts with the 2 fingers, and you can stack the monkeys on the stick, and I got it at Dollar Tree.
Okay.
So if you want something affordable, you can look at the dollar section at Target, you could go to Dollar Tree or a 99-cent store. So there's resources everywhere.
This is great. This is taking me back to my childhood, because I remember I had like a barrel of monkeys when I was younger, and we just like used to hook them all together and make like a big dangling
Yes,
chain.
I play with that one too. It's super fun. The next one is helping with bilateral coordination with 2 hands. So we use 2 hands for dressing, like buttoning and tying shoelaces. And you could pretty much grab food, or you could grab beads from the sewing kit, or any item that you could kind of string together and line up. So you're using the two hands and lining up.
Let me try it. All right.
Do you like pretzels?
I do love pretzels.
Maybe you could eat it after.
All right.
This reminds me actually of a candy necklace.
Yeah. Okay. And so this just really helps with like fine motor skills, coordination.
Bilateral coordination.
That was a close one. Wow, I was really practicing for that flyby. Wow. It's gonna be some air show. You'll have to go and check it out.
Yes, even flying jets uses two hands. They
Yeah,
really
of
have
course.
a steering wheel and some kind of button or something over here. So using two hands is what it's all about.
All right, so kids, if you want to be a fighter pilot, put pretzels on a shoelace. Awesome.
Yes, and then the fun stuff about painting or drawing, working at letter formations, spacing, you can get really fun and creative. What do you think this is? Is it whipped cream? Is it
Ooh, I don't know.
shaving cream?
Yeah, it does feel like shaving cream.
Yes, you are right. I put shaving cream in a Ziploc bag. What do you think we could do with that?
I don't know. I mean, it feels nice. It feels it's just like texture. It's good texture.
Yes, so this is tactile processing that you're working on.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to use him as a table because we are demonstrating on video. So you can just, practice writing your alphabets. There's J, or let's do number 2 is my favorite. So you can just make little funny shapes and you can keep reusing. So if you are all about recycling and being environmentally friendly, you can just use shaving cream or whipped cream in a bag and you can do letter formations.
That's incredible.
Or numbers.
It's like kind of like the Etch-a-Sketch, right? And then you just like draw and then you just erase it really quick.
Yes, similar to that, those sketchboards, magnetic boards. You can find rocks all around, you can paint them, you can use marker, you can use a sponge brush, a regular brush, you can even use sponges. These are fun little dinosaurs, anything to get motivated. I love the beach, you love the beach.
Yes.
That's how we met. We're
both surfers.
And so you can be creative and paint different items around the home. You can make it festive. There's so many holidays coming up. What did you like collecting when you were a kid?
What did I like collecting? That's a good question. I actually liked collecting rocks myself. Like I was a very tactile kid, so anytime I was like walking down the street, I was just like reaching out and like touching the bark on a tree or touching a plant as I walked by, and it was good. But sometimes my house backed up into like a wooded area, so I get myself into trouble because I touch poison ivy and then I touch myself all over. But
don't want to do that.
So that was I like to just like kind of like pick up rocks and handle that, and then I also collected Pokemon cards, but that was a little later when I was a little older,
All right, well you can do the same concept. So speaking of rocks, I put rocks and shells inside, so you can always help parents decorate their home. You can integrate these skill-based activities of something that's already happening in the home. You can collect shells, you could collect coins, you can collect rocks, there's sand, and you can fill up little jars. You can put them in Kleenex boxes and there's a slot there and you're inserting. So again, you're working on fine motor skills using every digit of your finger, and you're doing something that's fun that you like to collect. So everything is always about what your interest is, and most likely when you have an interest, then you're going to thrive naturally instead of thinking about that skill that's troubling.
Yeah, I totally believe that like if you're genuinely interested in something, then like you just naturally gravitate towards it and you don't have to like force someone to do it. So yeah, it's like find whatever you want to collect, whatever you want to mess around with, right?
Most definitely. So cups are really fun. I don't know if you're familiar with cup stacking, but I used to be in a tournament when I was a kid.
Whoa,
and there was 12 of them. And they weren't as long as big, but I mean, depending on the child's age, if you're a baby, the bigger, the easier, and you just simply stack. and you can put it into different upside down or downside up. You can do different colors, different shapes.
Okay.
You can make a pyramid with it, and that's what I did in Cub Stacks.
Right.
So
you had to like break it down real fast, right?
Yes, you can time it, make it fast. You can make it challenging in any way, shape, or form.
Make it a game, right?
Most definitely. That's always super fun. So that is what I have to show you here. And I have more exciting tools as well. So
okay, wonderful. And then like, what's like the usual like age range for these types of activities, or is there one?
So I don't really like to get so caught up in the number, to be honest. When it comes to therapy, you kind of look at what your child can or cannot do. And whatever they can't do, you kind of move to that goal and you try to achieve that. So, if you're able to easily stack this, for example, then the next thing is you can call on colors and ask for colors, and you're working on colors. You can spell. Okay, spell out the color.
Okay.
Maybe they can stack, but they're doing it out of order and it's the sizing that's wrong. So you work on the size and stacking. So just look at the baseline, because it's similar in OT evaluation. You get a baseline of what can your child do. And if they can stack, great. If they can't do it by size, then you work on it by size.
Okay.
If you call out a color and they can't call it, then you work on the color. Then you can work on spelling. So you just keep on making it more and more challenging.
Okay.
And you can even turn it into gross motor. So not everything is with hands. There's fine motor, which is running, jumping, crawling, building a tent. So if you're in the home and we have another stay home policy, you can make it a relay race. So here we are, it's in one corner and the other corner, and you're running and you're getting that ring and you're coming back and you're stacking it, and you can time it and make it challenging.
That's amazing.
That
sounds like my style. That was me building forts, running around. I think I destroyed a couple couches. My mom was not happy with me, but boys will be boys, they say.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that, there's no strict age limit. It's just kind of like meet your kid wherever they're at and then just work with them from there.
Most definitely. That's what it's all about. And have fun.
And have fun.
Yes.
Have fun. All right, let's check out some of these other goodies.
Alrighty.
All right. Now we've moved to the other side of the table where we have a whole host of other goodies. So why don't you tell us a little bit about all this stuff?
Alrighty. So puzzles are always good. You can really work on vocabulary. You could, again, do some spelling if they easily know what it is. You can do sound puzzles where it makes the sound of the animal. I'm sorry that it ran out of battery.
I know, I was excited.
Yes. I'll have to change that up. And so you can, work on different sounds. If you're not able to go to the zoo during these times, you're learning on the sound of puzzles or books. They even have the pens where you kind of hook the pen up with the peg and then it will make the sound of the book. So these are all resources that you buy in store, and I'm just telling you the skill set that could apply. So you're looking at auditory, you're looking at visual perception on matching the picture. You could work on memory as well. This is more like memory, actually. So
I'm more curious what a guinea pig sounded like too. We'll never know. We'll never know.
The mystery.
Yeah.
So, this is more the memory, because when you take the objects out, the child has to remember where did they go.
Okay.
So you want to always be able to categorize and show, animals, food, anything that we can't see on the outside if we're stuck inside, pretty much, right? That's their way of exposure, getting these educational tools, making it fun. And these are Melissa and Doug. I really like Melissa and Doug because it's educational. And on the back, it tells you different games like hide and seek, memory, spelling, the visual perception, like I said, the cognition, the fine motor that you're working on. Lots of skills there.
And Melissa and Doug's the creator of this particular product?
Yes.
Okay.
And this one as well.
Awesome.
So you can get it at Target, you can get it at Walmart. You could go on Amazon. You could just type Melissa and Doug, and it will tell you all the sites where you can get it. There's 60 challenges to this. This is shape logic. It's really good. Again, it's the visual perception. It could be maybe mathematical. You're more into the numbers.
I know, that's my thing.
And I'm more into English. I taught English, and then the skill set of how it can apply. But for math, do you want to tell us something, how that can be math-based?
I mean, it even says STEM right up here, so it's math. I mean, it's just crazy because it's it reminds me of I used to visit my grandmother, and you know, she had a very like grandmother house. It wasn't very kid friendly. There weren't a lot of toys around or video games or anything like that. So I had to entertain myself somehow. And the one thing she did have was something exactly like this. So there's like a card with like a picture on it, and then there was certain tiles just like this, and you had to like move the tiles around just to make the picture that was on the card and try and make it match. And I used to just do that for hours because there was nothing else to do with my grandma at my grandma's house. But yeah, that's like one of like, I have like really fond memories of just doing that. So I think this is really cool.
Yes, it's going back to the basics in the pandemic. That's what it's about. You know, all this constructional play. How many tiles can I fit in that square? Not needing so much screen time and technology. We could get really involved in that, but really where our brain develops, where we're able to challenge, learn math, learn language, speak the language, have the vocabulary, do the spelling, is all through the simplicity of doing it yourself. You know, doing it yourself, finding things around the house, or engaging with your child. If we allow the TV and the apps and video games to do everything for us, then we're not going to learn on our own, especially as a child that's still developing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was just having a conversation with someone too about how like technology is one of those things that's it's a great blessing, but it can also be a terrible curse because it's so pervasive, and all these apps and stuff are constantly competing for attention. We're losing the ability to just like focus and sit and just be present with something simple as this. So I, you know, I'm totally on board with just like disconnecting for a little bit and just like sitting down doing a nice puzzle. You know, puzzles can be fun.
Yes, and you know, when we talk about behavioral barriers or challenges, sometimes all it is just simply interacting and engaging with your child. They are seeking that attention and that love, and playing a game, just playing with the parent, parent and child. And there's nothing like it. This pandemic has brought that blessing, because normally we're in school and it is the interaction with the teacher and it's structured. But when you're in your home, you're comfortable. Sometimes you can learn better that way because you are comfortable, or that all you wanted was the attention from the parent, and then you're so joyful of that, and all of a sudden your brain is not scared in the fight flight. It's more like, I'm ready to learn. I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I'm so excited that we're playing. And then all of a sudden you're just thriving and learning.
Yeah, that's a great way to put a little spin on this pandemic that we're going through right now. More family time, right?
Yes.
All right, what else we got?
So these are some connector links. There's different types of connectors. Again, this is using bilateral coordination with two hands. It's visual perception because you're having to take different pieces and connect it together. You could be creative. This looks like what? What did I build?
Oh, it looks to me like we got a little person going on here.
Yeah, so you can build different figurines. And this is at Target. Sometimes it's $1, sometimes it's $3, depends on what it is.
All right.
So Clever Connectors is the brand, and then there's just different types, as you can see. Like this one looks like a spinner or wheels.
Yeah, like this is stuff I played with. They were called Connects, you know, and like it put it together and I made like a roller coaster and all that stuff. And I just really loved just playing around and tinkering, Legos, all that good stuff. So I love little things like this. It's super fun to play with, and I think beyond just like motor skills, it really helps develop creativity, you know, just like building, I'm going to build a person today, or I'm going to build some abstract spinny thing. So
most definitely. And constructional play, you know, with the video games, like I'm telling you, and the electronics, you're not learning constructional play. And just think about when you develop and you're an adult and you all of a sudden buy a new home and you're needing to fix something or put something together. That's constructional. When you're reading a manual and you need to learn how to do something, that's also constructional. So it's all part of the brain development.
I can't tell you how many times I thought like people would, like being able to follow instructions was just something that people could do because I was pretty good at it. But the more I go around the world, a lot of people have like real challenges with just following step-by-step instructions. They get really frustrated and they just like toss them away. And yeah, so that's great that, these can help with that, help build with that.
Most definitely. So it's building the foundation, again, going back to simplicity, which then later is going to translate as an adult with those building blocks and using both parts of the brain, the left and the right hemisphere. So that's where we go into the skill base of OT, not so much, did you pass your test? Are you in the grade level? And like you mentioned, is that age appropriate? It's really looking at the baseline where you are and what can I next achieve? And then first and foremost for parents during the pandemic and at home is really just the basics of playing and interacting together and not just with an object.
Of course.
You can do some fun ball games. You can get shovels around the house for sand play, or even a spoon from the kitchen, a regular basic ball, a golf ball, a tennis ball, and you're going around and you're picking it up. You could run around and have the balance that you're trying to achieve, the grasp, or using different hands because we're usually one hand dominant. So you can make it as challenging or easy as you would like. If there's many siblings and children in the household, you can get a bucket, you could throw, you could play catch. Very basic items that doesn't require a lot of money and to go out and buy it.
Okay, incredible.
99-cent store, Dollar Tree, you have Go Fish, you have Hearts, you have Matching. Again, these are portable, these are fun, engaging games. It's working on memory, matching, visual perception, making sure you're looking at the right picture, the right size, the right color, being able to take turns. If we are so used to playing in the same household with the same person, if you are working amongst other children, you might have some trouble with sharing. No, it's mine. Or, this is how you play the game. Sometimes you don't follow rules. Sometimes you don't remember the rules. So it's how do we be a good sports player and be able to be happy even if we lose.
Yeah.
Taking turns.
Yeah, taking turns is so important. Like you just shared these cards with me, right? So this is great. And it's again, like you kind of mentioned before, a way to learn but also have fun at the same time.
Most definitely. A big part of occupational therapy is looking at dressing skills and how do we get motivated. I mean, have you ever been that child that opens up clothes and you're like, this isn't a gift?
I definitely was that kid back before. Now I like clothes a little more, but back then I was like, socks again, come on.
Exactly. So what holiday is coming up soon?
Halloween,
yes,
my favorite.
That's my favorite too. So you can have different costumes to make it fun and motivating. You could be pirates one day, you could be cops, you can be a doctor or nurse. And in occupational therapy, there are children with medical conditions and they go to the hospital, or even your vaccinations and what's going on with COVID, and to be vaccinated or not. And so the more exposure you get on doctors and nurses and different professions, the safer you're going to feel, the more familiar you're going to be. And maybe you're going to role play with this. Maybe you're going to be at the doctor's office with mom and dad, and what does that look like? How do we put this open shirt on? If you have an injured, broken arm, like how do you do it with one-handed technique? If they have buttons, you can work on buttons, you can work on zippers. So that's what this demonstration is all about.
Okay, that's great because I think a lot of, especially younger kids, don't have a lot of experience with a hospital, and it can be very intimidating. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of noises and people, and so yeah, just like practicing at home a little beforehand could really help prepare for the actual thing. Right. And this is really adorable too.
I should put your name on
Yeah,
there.
I know, right?
Another fun one, last but not least, this is a good transition if we want to talk about some feeding therapy. Play-Doh, you can either buy Play-Doh or you can make it. I could send you a recipe,
Sure,
and it
that'd
could
be
be
great.
safe depending on the child. And if they want to eat it or not, you can just make it with food and then it'll be safe. So it's a lot for, muscle strength for the hands, pincer grasp by pinching. You can roll, like rolling pizza dough or cookie dough or Play-Doh. So again, it could be with something you buy or something in the kitchen. You can twist it, you can break it off and share it. You can make figurines with it. You can use clay if you want and make it dry, and then that's your dinosaur instead of going out and buying a dinosaur. You can talk about food. Maybe they're afraid to eat new foods, so you can introduce it by making it and then talking about it. And they're familiar with the shape. This is, what do you think that is?
That looks like a taco to me.
Yes, I love tacos. What's yours?
I don't know. I was trying to make like a burrito or something like that.
Oh, so we both chose Mexican.
Yeah, of course.
Very nice.
And of course, this is purple, your favorite color, right? So
See?
purple.
I didn't even realize I get all this purple. You know what? Before we wrap this segment up, what do you think about challenging me in this little
Let's do
frog
it.
game?
I don't even know what we're doing.
Okay. So this is going to be good for to think of a finger push-up or finger exercise. Finger isolation is challenging for children,
I
believe
haven't
it
worked
or
out
not.
my finger in a while. Okay.
So you find games that are fun, and maybe frogs is a thing that a character, animal, insect that you love. So you choose that item and you play with it. So you're going to just pinch down like a push-up. 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, okay.
I win! Winner, winner, chicken dinner!
All right, congratulations. All right, well, speaking of dinner, you said you had some more to show us in the kitchen?
Yes.
All right, let's go check it out.
All right. Happy birthday for everyone that had a birthday in September. Or is it October now?
It's October 1st.
It's October 1st! Well, happy birthday for all the October children. So, feeding therapy is a very big one in pediatrics for occupational therapy. So we help with oral motor skills, so blowing, sucking through a straw. Maybe it's lip closure. So you're trying to make different sounds, and so you practice with different party favors. I got all of these from Party City, or you could go into the gift birthday sections of the store and see what items you could pick out, or even Dollar Tree.
Mr. Potato Head there.
Yeah, you could even build a face, build a potato, and you talk about body parts. So oral motor skills are really important when you're looking at different texture foods and being able to chew and break down and have a mature rotary chewing. And sometimes when children don't want to eat certain foods, it's not necessarily because they don't like the food. Maybe they don't know how to break it down properly, using the muscles, using the mechanics to do that. So in therapy, we look at different tools to help out. You can do those fun party favors. You can have different textures. This is a Nook toothbrush. This is training for a toothbrush, but you can also use it as texture as well. They have little dots. Maybe it's a sauce that you're introducing and they don't like the Alfredo over the marinara. So over time, you can just put it on the tip and taste the new sauce on something that's not so threatening, like, oh my gosh, I have to eat this whole bowl of Alfredo. We could just put the sauce onto a non-food object and taste from there. So they have oral sponges or this Nook training toothbrush that could also be used for oral motor tool. You also have different spoons. So I end up taking the Beckman oral motor and the SOS approach to feeding. Again, I'm going to provide that information, and that helps with assessment and intervention, which is customized to the child and age of what the need is. So when you have a flat spoon or a textured spoon, you are training the gums and the tongue and filling and desensitizing, or maybe waking up, doing a little warm up before you go right into eating. So it's similar to when you go to the gym, you do a warm up, you don't go straight to running or straight to heavy lifting, you're doing a proper warm up, and the same goes for oromotor techniques when you're eating if someone has challenges there. Again, if you don't want to go straight into a bowl of new food items, you could put it in a bubble net and practice chewing. Even if it's past the baby age, you can still introduce food that's in a net, or you can talk about it through a Ziploc bag. You can even put it in a container, poke holes, and smell it to see what it smells like. Is it citrus? Is it creamy? What color is it? You talk about the size, the shape, the differences, instead of going straight into tasting and eating, because that could be very scary. It could be a fight, flight, fright approach. Let me just give up now. No, I don't like it. So you do little steps to introducing foods and textures, and you can be role playing and doing the same thing with dressing. You can practice dressing with zippers and buttons and snaps, and be Chef Jenna over here in the house.
Chef Jenna.
You can buy the toys and the items, or you could just take it from the kitchen. So if you want to do some arm strengthening, you can use one of these potato mashers. You can whisk and maybe help with baking. So you can implement it in something that you're already doing. And
Go for it.
all right, so if you're wanting to use scissors, tongs is an easier way. You can get it in the kitchen, or you could get a fake one for a toy. You can use scissors to cut up different food items to help prep for the meal. A really good one too is a can opener, because you're twisting and turning, you're using your wrist and your hand, and these are all very good for fine motor hand skills. You can do non-threatening items, which are all like plastic toy food, and talk about different fruits and vegetables if your child isn't eating them. You can categorize by the same size, the same color, the same shape, and the same category, like fruit or vegetables. So those are my feeding tips for you guys, and everyone can do it because we all eat every day and we love it.
Amazing. All right, Jenna, so if people were interested in actually getting services for occupational therapy, how would they go about that?
So you can speak with your pediatrician if there are any signs of delays. The pediatrician can refer out to networks within the community, and they can get an evaluation to see if there's a need, and then receive therapy services based on those standardized assessments and outcomes. And if it's not through the pediatrician, in California, there's regional centers, and regional centers will help fund the child if there's a need from age 0 to 26. And then if the doctor or regional center is not a part of that referral process, then the teacher can detect if there's any delays or challenges, and could request for evaluation from a therapist, and the OT will do the evaluation with the standardized assessments to detect if there's a need there. And then that's where they have the IEP meeting, and they sign a contract, and it usually goes for 2 years, and they do the reevaluation, and they keep finding out if there's a need as the child is developing and growing, because sometimes it's not forever. They can reach their milestones, reach the peer functional skills, and then be discharged from care. So we look at the current status at their current level, and the standardized assessment is going to show the outcome measures on if there's a need or not.
Okay, awesome. And just in case people don't know, what does IEP stand for?
Individualized Education Program.
All right, very good.
Let me double check.
I'm pretty sure that's
system. I've always worked in outpatient and home-based regional center. Yeah, individualized educational plan. I called it program.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of those things. It's like just the lingo, right? Everyone just refers to it in IEP, and then like you almost like forget what the actual letters stand for. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was clear, just in case they had never heard of it before. And I was also curious, is occupational therapy, is that typically covered by insurance? Is it sometimes covered? Like, can parents go through insurance and get those services, or do they have to pay out of pocket?
So it varies on the need, as mentioned. So say if a family, there's no evaluation showing that need, then the funding could be tricky, or they could go through private insurance or private pay. With regional center, they do cover age 0 to 26, again, if there's that need that they discover in the evaluation. And then for the school system, if they notice that the child needs therapy at the school to be able to be at their grade level, then that is also covered by the government and state as well. So you do have a variety of resources, and depending on the age.
Okay, incredible. All right, and then the other thing I wanted to ask you is, do you have any like really good apps for parents that are related to occupational therapy that they could use to implement in their like everyday life?
Yes, so I have a few here, and I wanted to pull it up. So they have the CDC milestones, and it's really good because you create a profile about your child, and you put the milestones that they can do or cannot do, and it populates a report. And that report you can show the pediatrician, or you can show the teacher, and then you can set up goals on how your child could achieve the next milestone. There's a really good one, Brush Up with Bud. That one
sounds like fun.
That one is really fun. It's a big popular hit. It really helps with toothbrushing. 2 minutes could seem like a very long time for some children. So when they watch this animation, they're able to use the full duration, but it also captures pictures, and the child's able to match, am I brushing each quadrant? Because it's a very complex skill, so it kind of shows it. And then you earn stars, and with the stars, you get to pick out a toy. So there's a reward system in this
gamifying it a little bit.
Most definitely. Anything that keeps you motivated and fun to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
That's what I recommend.
I wish I had that app when I was young, because I was not a toothbrusher until later on in life, if I'm being honest.
Also, Baby Sparks does milestones as well, but all the therapists and medical professionals demonstrate on video, and they also give a description. I could give you this list, and you can provide that in the caption and descriptions. Sensory treat, so occupational therapy really tunes into sensory, your auditory, touching, tasting, feeling, and they can create a sensory lifestyle program for the child. So if something's too loud and they're sensitive, then you can have like the noise walking headphones, and you just heard an air jet going by, or an air show, and they're practicing. So that's why that made me think of that, because I'm a little sensitive right now to auditory.
Of course.
Another one could be little steps, and they break down, where should your child be at. Let Me Talk could really help with speech. The list goes on, and I'm going to provide that for you, of course, to share with everybody.
Yeah, and of course, we'll put all the resources and all the apps that Jenna mentioned in the description of the program, so you'll be able to find everything that you guys need. All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on, and thank you so much for joining us here on Pandemic Parenting.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Most definitely.
All right, Jenna, thank you so much once again for coming on Pandemic Parenting. If any parents out there want to reach out to you or learn more about how you can help their kids, how can they reach you?
You can call me at 800-548-0958, or you can visit my website at allcareanywhere.org. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
And definitely reach out and contact Jenna, because as you can see, she's amazing. Jenna, again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.